Did you know a man once walked into a crowded bar, was captured on security cameras, but was never seen leaving? And to this day, no one knows how he vanished. In April 2006, in Columbus, 27-year-old medical student Brian Shaffer went out to celebrate the start of spring break. He met friends at a popular bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona. The night was normal. The bar was packed. Music was loud. People were everywhere. But by morning, Brian Shaffer had disappeared without a trace. Brian had everything going for him. He was smart, driven, just weeks away from finishing medical school. Friends described him as outgoing, relaxed, and happy that night. There were no signs of distress, no arguments, no tension, just another night out. Security cameras showed him entering the bar with friends around 1:15 a.m., smiling, laughing. Nothing seemed unusual, but that would be the last confirmed moment Brian Shaffer was ever seen. Hours later, as the bar began to close, Brian's friends realized something was wrong. He wasn't answering his phone. He wasn't inside the bar, and he hadn't come out with anyone. But investigators weren't prepared for what they found next. When police reviewed security footage, they saw Brian clearly enter the bar, but they never saw him leave. At first, it seemed impossible. The bar had one main entrance and exit, and it was fully covered by surveillance cameras. What happened next shocked everyone. Every single person who entered that bar that night was accounted for leaving, except Brian. But the strangest discovery was still coming. Investigators searched every possible exit: emergency doors, staff entrances, construction areas nearby. But there was no footage of Brian leaving through any of them. It was as if he had simply vanished inside the building. Police then interviewed everyone who had been with him that night: friends, witnesses, employees. No one saw anything suspicious. No one saw Brian leave, and no one saw him after he entered the bar. But the mystery only got deeper. Brian's phone continued to ring for days after he disappeared. Sometimes it would go straight to voicemail. Other times, it would ring normally, as if it was still active somewhere. Then came another chilling detail. In the final footage, Brian is seen briefly talking to two women outside the bar. They later said nothing seemed unusual. He wasn't upset. He wasn't trying to leave. He simply turned and walked back inside. Unaware he had just stepped into a mystery no one could explain. Search teams combed the entire area: rooftops, nearby alleys, construction sites, even dumpsters. But investigators weren't prepared for what they found next. They found nothing. No body. No signs of a struggle. No evidence of a crime. Just nothing. Years later, the case took an even darker turn. Brian's own father, who had been searching tirelessly for answers, was killed in a freak accident, leaving the family with even fewer answers and even less hope. And Brian himself? His bank accounts were never touched. His phone activity eventually stopped, and there was no evidence he had started a new life. It was as if he had been erased completely. A man walks into a crowded bar, surrounded by people, captured on camera, and then he's gone. No exit, no trace, no explanation. And to this day, no one knows what really happened to Brian Shaffer. Do you remember that time Brian pulled that prank on Professor Hill? We laughed for days. Yeah, he always knew how to light up a room. We're not giving up. If he's out there, we'll find him. Somehow. I still believe he's alive. Until I know for sure, I will never stop looking for my son. It's been years, yet Brian's story continues to intrigue and baffle both locals and outsiders. That's right. Despite countless theories, no solid leads have surfaced. It's as if he just disappeared into thin air. Remember the concert we all went to? Brian was the star of that night, even though he wasn't performing. We danced until the sun came up. He had a way of making everything feel so alive. I just wish he knew how much he meant to all of us.
We're revisiting every piece of evidence. There has to be something we missed. Something that can finally give Brian's family peace. Yes, sir. Let's bring him home. For more true stories, like, follow, comment, and share.